The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. It's your midweek fix for racing news and information. Brought to you by the Championship Racing Network. Now let's head trackside to join your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson.
Welcome in to the latest edition of Crossed Flags. We appreciate you joining us. I'm Steve West, Matt Nicholson there. We appreciate in the background producer John and also producer Molly for getting everything set up, not only on CRN Live on YouTube, but on Jocks TV on YouTube as well. And it doesn't matter which one you happen to be looking at. We do ask you subscribe down below if you haven't already. I know we appreciate it. Our fine friends at Jocks do as well. We are going to spend a little more time talking about it during the big show on Saturday. We do mourn the loss of Shigeki Hattori passing away in a car accident, 61 years old. It's hard to believe, but Hattori Racing Enterprises and the truck series will, as far as we know, the plans are to continue. For how long? We'll see. But again, we'll talk a little bit more about that this weekend. And plenty of other things, obviously, that we're going to be talking about throughout the course of it. We'll talk about Darlington, and we'll talk about what really isn't a controversy, the late race caution that was brought out when Bubba Wallace got into the back of Kyle Larson. We'll get into it, but again, there's not really a whole lot to it, so I wouldn't worry about it a whole lot. What I want to spend time talking about is the fact that we've got an unprecedented number of rookies this year in Formula One. 6, when you stop and think about it. Just a couple of years ago, not one seat changed in Formula One. I think it was it 2022 into 2023, Matt? And not one seat changed? I think it was. I believe
so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think about that for a minute. I mean, out of 20 seats, literally not one changed. And you rarely see that in any form of racing, especially at the top level when there are so many other drivers that are fighting to get to the Formula One level. And you know that there was somebody or a couple of drivers who just didn't quite perform, and you're like, wow, they're going to stick with them for another year. So no changes. And then all of a sudden this year, not only do you get a number of changes, you get 6 brand new drivers. I don't know, as there's been a much bigger class of rookie drivers during the run of Formula One. I mean, we could obviously talk about year one, but that's another story entirely. Everybody's a rookie at that point in time. I'm talking about over the course of the 75 years since then. I don't know as they've ever had this big a rookie class. I have to admit, I haven't looked it up.
Not that I can think of either.
So it's pretty big to talk about. And the thing about it is 3 of them have scored championship points. But we'll lead off with the obvious one here, the one that we've been talking about the most since the beginning of the year, because it seemed like right from the start, Liam Lawson's time in that Red Bull car was doomed. And sure enough, after 2 races, he runs not well, granted, in Australia and in China. And then, boom. They make the change, and now all of a sudden he's dropped down to the Racing Bulls team. And granted, a veteran, Yuki Tsunoda's brought up just in time for his home course race at Tokyo. For the record, Liam Lawson in his Racing Bulls debut could do no better than 17th, but Yuki Tsunoda wasn't exactly tearing things up either. He didn't even finish in the points. He finished 11th. So I wouldn't call it the most banner of switches, at least based upon one race. Now, how much does one race tell us? Probably not as much as we would like, but again, this is Yuki Tsunoda on his home track. You would think if he's going to be up and prepared to race anywhere, it's gonna be in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, looking at looking back over the final results, you definitely would have thought being in that car, he would have outrun the likes of Oliver Behrman, Fernando Alonso, cars like that right there. But when you look and you see that Isaac Hadjar is ahead of him by 4 positions, you got to go, are you sure?
Yeah, you kind of sit there and you go, what the heck happened there? Because truth be told, you're at your home again, you're at your home track in your home country and you're in the car that you wanted. Your
Yeah.
confidence should never be higher than at that point in time right there, and you can't place inside the points. And this is we've asked this question before. We've asked it specifically about the 21 Wood Brothers car in the Cup Series. Is it the car or is it the driver?
Well,
And
that theory was debunked at Las Vegas in a hurry.
yeah, exactly. And the other side of it is also, when you think about it, yes, Max Verstappen claimed the win. You mentioned Isaac Hajar. He does get the points. So you got one Red Bull, you got one Racing Bulls inside the top 10. Then you got the other two on the outside of it. I'm not so certain whether it is the car or the driver. Still, that jury's still out for me.
I'm going to say probably solidly after race 6, you'll probably know. And then with race 4 coming in Bahrain
Okay.
this
So you want
weekend,
to
I
give
would
us
say after race 6, you'd probably know.
you want to wait until after the first race of the European leg because they got 2 races in the Middle East here, Bahrain and which one am I missing? Saudi? No, is it Saudi Arabia or is it Abu Dhabi? Either one. They're going to
Saudi
race.
Arabia.
Okay, so they're going to race these 2, and then they're going to go hit the European circuit finally for the first race of the year. So you're saying after that first European race of the year, we'll have a better idea of whether or not it's car or driver.
Yeah, because Australia, China, Japan, this is race 4. Race 5 is Saudi Arabia. It's going to be after Miami. Miami is race 6.
Oh, that's true too. I forgot about that. We got to take a quick run to the US. Okay. Yeah. All right. That'll give us at least 4 races under our belts with these 2 drivers in these 2 cars where they are, we presume, going to be for the rest of the year. So we'll find that out. Liam Lawson is joined down at the bottom of the barrel by Jack Doohan and Gabriel Bortoleto. Now, Jack Doohan is running for Alpine. Alpine has scored exactly 0 points on the year. And truth be told, I'm not overly confident points are coming anytime soon. But we said that last year, and all of a sudden they jumped up and got 2 cars that suddenly claimed podium finishes. So, could they have one magic race here somewhere where they suddenly surprise everybody? Yeah, I guess. But Jack Doohan is not really that guy that I'm looking at and going, he and Pierre Gasly have that perfect team. I'm not so certain of that. But again, we saw it just last year. Could Alpine actually jump up and score some points here in the near future?
Time will tell. I mean, because shockingly, I'm surprised that Carlos Sainz has only scored 1 single point. He's barely above him. But with Gasly, Alonso, Lawson, Doohan, and Bortoleto at the bottom of the barrel, I don't know. And Sonoda's not all that much better with only 3 points.
Yeah, exactly. So Jack Doohan sitting down there at the bottom of the barrel with a bottom-feeding team so far this year. You mentioned Gabriel Bortoleto. He's running for Sauber. This is the last year, supposedly, for them to really be the ownership. That's going to switch over to Audi next year. Nico Hulkenberg came out real strong, had himself a real good run in the season opener in Australia. It's kind of cooled off since then, kind of to what the level we have expected of Sauber over the last couple of years. But at least there appears to be a heartbeat there because we have, over the last few years, seen where Nico Hulkenberg has been able to take the reins and pull a team along. He was basically the points guy. No matter what you thought of Kevin Magnussen, he was the points guy when he was at Haas F1. It appears he's going to be the man pulling all the weight at Sauber this year as well. Because, again, Gabriel Bortoleto, not to take anything away from him, but he is a rookie. He's got a big learning curve at a team that is certainly over the past several years since we on this and, certainly on the big show have been following Formula One. Sauber's been a bottom feeder. Have they been at the very bottom of the standings the whole time? No, but they've been down there in the bottom 2 or 3, generally, right, as a rule, since we've been covering this series. And then you're going to throw a rookie in there. He's going to have to learn a lot from Nico Hulkenberg, and Nico Hulkenberg's going to have to be willing to be a big-time mentor.
No doubt.
All right. So that leaves us to the guys who actually have scored points. You mentioned him just a moment ago. Isaac Hajar got his first ever points in Formula One in his career in his third race in Japan, scores 4 points, claiming a top 10 finish there. And you think about the turnaround here. Think about his season opener. In his season opener, he wrecks the car on the formation lap. He doesn't even have the chance to run a lap competitively in Australia in what is supposed to be his first race. So he scores no points. He's going back to the paddock area. He is crying. He gets criticized by people within his own building, stupidly, but he does. And he's able to turn that around. And in race number 2 in China, just misses out on points with an 11th place finish, and then backs it up in Japan with the top 10. And he's got his first 4 points of his championship career so far. And again, we're only 3 races in.
Right. He's rebounded and redeemed himself good so far. Just got to keep going.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder whether or not we're ready to eat crow or not. Again, jury's still out. It's very, very early. But the fact that only 2 races after crashing out on the formation lap and getting that much criticism within the Red Bull building from people who really needed to know better, to score points, that's a nice turnaround. I hope he's able to keep that momentum up.
Yeah, for sure.
Ollie Behrman is a guy who we started to talk about last year because he came in, and this, of course, was before we had Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari. And early in the year, he got his first Formula One race because the then now Williams, then Ferrari driver, excuse me, Carlos Sainz, has an appendicitis. So Ollie Behrman gets in and he scores points in his first race. Yes, he's in a Ferrari. That helped. Later in the year, he got a couple of starts for Haas F1 as well. And the man turned around and scored points a couple of more times. And I read a report earlier this morning as we record this on a Tuesday of this week that he's run 6 Formula One races and he scored points in 4 of them so far. And he's got 5 points on the year so far. It's not like he's tearing things up, but at the same time, you like the fact that he does seem to figure out a way to put himself in a position to score a point, if not multiple points, with at least a 10th place, if not higher finish.
Yeah. He's so far, to my surprise, he's pulling the weight for Haas. Whether that continues or not, time will tell. But he's held himself well so far.
Sure. Yeah. He's trailing Esteban Ocon in points, Esteban Ocon being his teammate. But Ollie Behrman's
barely.
But Ollie Behrman,
I miscalculated that.
No, and that's fine. But I see where you're going with it, because to me, the more important thing is, can you do it consistently? And while Esteban Ocon has gone out there and has gotten himself a top 5 finish and has more points, he's also inconsistent. Witness the fact that he finished 18th in Japan.
Right.
But it seems like Oliver Behrman's somewhere in that area where he's in and around between about 10th and 7th, just about every single race. And that, to me, is more important, is that you can continue to do that every single race. And what that's going to do is not only build up his confidence, it's going to build up Haas F1's confidence in him and make them want to keep him around for that much longer, as long as they can. Obviously, the more he does that, the more Ferrari's going, when can we get him over in our car? But this builds up the confidence on Haas F1. And at the end of the year, it's that much more important for a Haas F1, because we have talked about the fact that they're one of the lower budgeted teams out there. Yeah, they were able to spend as well as everybody else, but they don't have a whole lot of room for error over there. So the ability to get the bonus points that they get at the end of the year for not being in the cellar, because a guy like Oliver Behrman is consistently scoring championship points for him, that's all ever important to a Haas F1.
Yep, no doubt. And this seemed to have, so far, with the complete total roster change over there, it seems to be paying off so far.
Yeah. And got to give a whole lot of credit to Io Komatsu, who took over for Gunther Steiner as the team principal. And, you know, we've said this before. Sometimes you just need to make that change. Whether it's a coaching change, in pro sports, pro stick and ball sports, or whether it's this change in team principles, the team boss. Sometimes the change, you kind of scratch your head and go, "Nah, I don't think you should have done that." In this case, initially we went, where's Haas F1 going to turn? And then they turned to Komatsu, and Komatsu has really changed things over there, and it has changed the kind of the way that things are perceived within the halls of Haas F1, and it just seems, from everything that we can tell, to be a much happier place. It's not this dark place that it seemed to be when Gunther Steiner was there.
No, it definitely seems to be much better, no doubt, for sure.
And if your employees are happy and your drivers are happy and you're having a good time, you tend to continue to build upon that, and that's huge.
Agreed.
But everybody's chasing the Mercedes rookie. And I don't think it's that much of a surprise that of all 6 of these, that a Mercedes would be up near, if not at the top of the point scoring. I think the biggest surprise is the fact that Liam Lawson wasn't able to get a championship competitive style car in a Red Bull as the teammate to Max Verstappen to be able to do it. But I don't think it's that big of a surprise. Kimi Antonelli leads the rookies in points. He's got 30. Oliver Behrman's got 5. Isaac Kajar's got 4. Lawson, Duham, and Bortoletto still scoreless. 30 points, though, for the rookie. Is this surprising to you, or is this about what you might have expected from him after 3 races?
I'm not going to say I'm overly surprised. It's close to about what I expected.
Yeah. Again,
considering the car that he took over.
This is a fantastic car. It's a fantastic organization. We've talked about them in this situation since we, as CRN, have covered Formula One, and that's going on over a decade now. And remember, we're still in that period of time that Mercedes was able to kick off with utter dominance by winning 8 straight constructors titles, 7 drivers titles total between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. A very, very impressive run that still continues. They're still title contenders for both drivers and, well, not so much drivers, but certainly Constructors' Cup. So no, it's not that big of a shock that this car is that good. But Kimi Antonelli does not seem wowed, I guess might be the best way to put it. Sometimes, and this may be partially a problem with Liam Lawson, they get to the top level of whatever sport that it is. You go from college to the NFL, or you go from AAA to major leagues, and you become wide-eyed and you feel the pressure. He doesn't seem to feel it.
He doesn't. He's held himself quite well.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I like it. Will he be a championship contender? Not this year. Wouldn't surprise me if it happens within the next few years, though.
I would say give it 3.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I could see that easily.
By 28, he should be.
I mean, you got to get the new engine regulations figured out, and that's something that I think, to a certain extent, is still being locked down. Formula One, from all reports, there are some reports out there that have them wondering whether or not they're doing the right thing by making the new engine regulations for next year. I think we're way too far down the road for that not to take place. But once Mercedes is able to get their hands around this thing, I have no problem thinking that he's going to be a contender.
Yeah, he should be firmly there. I agree.
Yeah. And, George Russell is up there. He's competing for wins in this very same car. And Kimi Antonelli seems to have picked right up where Lewis Hamilton left off. And he may just be the next real good hot shoe. I'm curious about Oliver Behrman. And the curiosity to me is how long can he stay in that Haas F1 car before Ferrari says, you know what, we're tired of having this kid do what he's doing, and we're going to have him join us instead of having him potentially beating us. Because in the end, that's what it's going to be. He's effectively on loan to Haas F1 from Ferrari. I don't imagine he'll be there more than a couple of years if he keeps this up.
Yeah, because there's less years in front of Hamilton than there are more.
Agreed.
So he would be the seat filler for that car.
Okay. And I'll say this, Haas F1 did sign a reserve driver finally officially for this year. They didn't really have one. They were going to rely on Ferrari's driver development program if they needed a reserve driver. Now they've signed the guy away from Alpine, and it's Ryo Hirakawa. The problem with Hirakawa is the fact that he's 31 years old. And while you might be able to rely on him if Ferrari swooped in the next couple of years and pulled Oliver Behrman away, how long are you really going to rely on a guy who's 31 years old, probably older at that point in time, entering his rookie F1 year?
Rely on him as long as you can, in my opinion.
Assuming he can perform, of course. So
he's got to get that shot first.
Yeah, he does. And I'll be real honest when I say this. I'm not seeing him get it anytime too soon, just to be honest. Now, could something change? Absolutely. We still got the Cadillac entry that's coming in there, and they've got 2 seats to fill. We kind of think one of them probably will be Colton Herta, but nothing's confirmed at this point in time. And there's that guy, Sergio Perez, who's sitting out there too, that veteran who says, hey, I'd be willing to talk to anyone, and I'd be shocked if Cadillac didn't say, you know what, let's give the guy a call and see what it might take.
Right.
So
I don't disagree.
There's still a lot of pieces that could be moved around here. I think about congratulations to Haas F1 for locking down your reserve driver situation. But at the same time, you're relying on a 31-year-old who really has only about half a dozen practice sessions or test sessions under his belt. That's who you're going to rely on. Maybe he's better than what I fear, but I'm not 100% sure of that. But Antonelli and Behrman, they do seem to be the class of this. Could Liam Lawson live up to the hype? I don't know. The jury's still out. And Isaac Hadjar is a nice surprise, I got to admit, because I was not certain what to expect from this kid, because you want to talk about a name that kind of flew under the radar for the longest time. I don't remember us talking about him as being one of those guys that these F1 teams were looking at in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting class, and I feel sorry for Doohan and Bortoleto because, well, they're stuck with the teams that they're stuck with. Could things change? Maybe, but it's going to take a lot of work on both of their teams. I don't think this is on the drivers as much as it's on the teams right now. They're in pretty big.
It would take a lot.
All right. Just kind of wanted to play around, give a little bit of an update on the, again, biggest rookie class that Matt and I can think of. We'll do it again a little bit later on in the season and see where things stand and if they have changed, and if things have changed from the lineup where it's from top to bottom, Antonelli, Behrman, Hadjar, Lawson, Doohan, and Bortoleto. We can do some more analysis at that point in time, and who knows, maybe we can look ahead to 2026 and see something a little bit different. Because again, with Cadillac coming in, there's still a lot of things that could change. There are several drivers, as we detailed on the big show a few weeks ago, that are coming into the last year of their contracts that Cadillac might try and swoop in and steal away if they really want to go make a big splash. So again, a lot of seats could be changing come this year into next. But we'll keep an eye on that for you because that's what we do. We appreciate you joining us. We will do it again next week, but don't forget, this Saturday, we have the big show coming up again, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. Make sure you join us on CRN Live for that. Hope you enjoy the rest of the week. We'll talk to you then. On behalf of Matt Nicholson, producer John Myers, producing Molly Robinson, I'm Steve West. We'll talk to you again real soon on both CRN and Cross Flags.
You've been listening to Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. For more content like this, subscribe to CRN Live on YouTube, and you'll be set to catch the 2-hour live show every Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.